working with artificial intelligence. For me, it's already there. It's either you resist it or you go along with it. Try to use it as a tool and not overpower you. I'm surprised that a lot of artists connect with my work and can relate to it. Also here, and I've noticed that, especially in the early 2000s, a lot of Filipino artists are tremendously talented in painting, in experimenting. I feel that there's a lot of possibilities here during that time. And I felt like Filipino painters are better than the European painters. At the same time, during the 2010s, when the auction houses emerged here, and it became the predictor of what Philippine art should be, I felt like the market dictated as to what Filipino artists should be working on. There should be an alternative to the market. You know, sort of like a community initiative to support artists. Coming back to the Philippines was a culture shock at first. You know, after being gone for 20 years, it was a culture shock. I couldn't relate, but I still pushed on. I think the only person who helped me break through the culture shock was a good friend of mine, Romeo Lee. And my first show was with him. It was called Lee Almighty. The first time I met Romeo was when I went to UP as a freshman, UP Fine Arts. And that's where we connected. We were both into punk music. Yeah, that's how we became good friends. It helped me break through in the local art scene. I think back then the Philippine art scene was pretty open. This was in 2003. There was no auction house. The galleries were in malls. The audience were pretty much artists themselves. So it was a tight-knit community. You know, knowing that made it easier for me to hang out with artists. There was no this drive to compete. You know, to be in competition with other artists. It's all just about community. I appreciated that. And the art scene back then was more experimental with the narrative. That was much more impactful in comparison to the Western countries, where it's all about the market. If you don't sell, they don't value you. Finale didn't prohibit me from painting anything controversial. In fact, when I showed with them, I painted a Jesus worm crucified. And I did some collaborative work with artists also. And Finale was still in Mega Mall. And there were a lot of people who were complaining, who were protesting about the works being shown there. The collaborations, my work. Credit to Vita, she defended the work. My moving back to the Philippines wasn't, or knowing the game of the art world there, wasn't me being cynical. It's a way to maintain my identity as an artist and not be caught up with the game. Mary Boone wanted to show me a lot of top gallerists. I rejected them because I knew if I went that way, I'll be a slave. I won't be able to paint what I want to paint. I'll just be churning out things for the market. And I'm actually anti-market in some sense. Divorcing yourself from the market is a way to not enslaved by it. But then, how can you when the market changes the work to the artist, change the commodity? I think artists should have the right to disown the work. An artist who goes to an art fair is like a cow going to the butcher shop. What I did, I had to perform, you know, and I hated doing that. At the same time, that's when you can also talk to different kinds of people, Don't let the market get to you. That art fair, what I've shown, those pieces, I made those pieces, but those aren't mine. They belong to this institution, the STPI. I'm like a dancing monkey to the organ grinder. I think you just have to not take things seriously sometimes. I don't feel sentimental parting with my artworks. For me, they're just paint on canvas. But as you said, they have a life of their own, so I have no control over them. I think the canvas is never empty. It's full of ghosts. There are always ghosts haunting a white surface. You try to conjure something out of an empty canvas. I think my paintings are always full of ghosts. They're never really paintings by Manuel Ocampo. Being an artist is the greatest freedom that one has. I like what Mike Kelly said about the function of art, and it's to fuck things up. And in a sense, maybe that's what I'm doing. Fucking things up, fucking me up. It's also fucking everyone up. When I paint, I'm always in a state of tension. Until it's finished, I'm stressed out. I'm nervous. I hardly go to sleep until I've solved the composition. I've solved the color. It's something really stupid. For other people, they'd say, "Oh, that's already finished," or "That's enough. Don't work on it anymore." But then there's the devil behind saying that, "Oh, you need to work on it. It's not yet done." The Pentimento, I think, like us as human beings, it has stories to tell. It has a childhood. It has a personality. I think it gives it history. I think when a painting needs to be purged, when it's not talking to me anymore. It's not talking to me when I'm just hearing noise. In a sense, an autobiography of erasures, of Pentimento. The effect I'm trying to draw to the audience is there's always an element of a joke in my work. And sometimes there's a political element. One of the things that really impressed me when I said, okay, that's what I want my paintings to say to the viewer, is when a viewer came up to me and told me, "I think your paintings are very evil." I wasn't expecting that. And I said, wow, okay, that's how I want my paintings to talk to the audience. But at the same time, it's the viewer that's projecting these things to the painting. Ironically, I don't use digital art to produce my work. I just sketch, and then I use a projector to enlarge it. The human element in digitally created artworks. Well, it's sort of the same as Warhol in the 60s, where he just has tons of assistant silk screening for him, and he just signs it and approves it if that can be exhibited or not. With digital art, I think it's the same thing. More working with artificial intelligence. For me, it's already there. It's either you resist it or you go along with it and try to use it as a tool and not overpower you. In the end, the artist still has the last say. My technique is very straightforward, like a folk artist, really. Very minimal shading, a lot of flat areas, not too much special effects. I have a love and hate relationship with both acrylic and oil. With oil, I hate cleaning the brush. I don't like the mineral solution, the thinner, the turpentines. I don't like the law, the rule of fat over lean that you have to be aware of. I like acrylic, it dries faster. You can just put anything on top. But I hate how it looks when it dries. If they can make something that's as durable, like acrylic, but have the quality of oil, then I'd be happy with that medium. Growing up, I was rebellious or contrarian. I grew up, my family's strictly Catholic. Now they're Christian. I don't know what the difference is because I went to LA to visit my mom, who's now 95 years old. And she wanted me to convert to Christianity because she wanted her family to be with her once she dies. She wanted them to be in the same heaven as she is. She tried to convert me into Christianity, and she was talking about all this stuff. I was just playing along, but inside I was thinking, those are the same Catholic stuff that I learned. Why are you now Christian and you're differentiating yourself from Catholic? You know, and it just dawned on me. It's just a different kind of business. I'm agnostic. I was born Catholic, but I have lots of doubts. The subject of the Catholic Church has always been in my paintings, and it's always been critical. I mean, I don't know why we're beholden to some Middle Eastern religion when what we practiced before was much more aligned with nature. I grew up in Antipolo. I used to spend my time riding motorcycles. There's a certain connection with art and motorcycle racing. You have to observe techniques in order to be good at racing. My sister studied fine arts. I remember watching my sister paint. I was close to my older sister when I was a child. And I felt like, oh, okay, I wanted to do the same thing also. And then also music, as it relates to art, imagery, drew me into painting. I would admire album covers, how before it was still painted. As a child, I've always been a doodler. In school, I've always caricatured my classmates and my teachers. And sometimes I get punished for it. And sometimes my classmates, they buy my drawings. Being an artist is a calling. I think my practice of painting, it's a daily devotion to the practice of painting, to the arts. Not anything spiritual, something more human, I guess. That it's something we do before we die. Having diabetes was a wake-up call for me. It's a roller coaster. Sometimes it's well managed and sometimes not so well managed. Yeah, it's hard living with diabetes. I actually was dead for 5 minutes. I had a cardiac arrest. I was feeling something on my chest. I thought it was COVID. It was during the pandemic. As I was about to enter the emergency room, the security guard stopped me and interviewed me because of, you had to sign some COVID questionnaires, That's when my heart stopped beating. And luckily I was in the emergency room already, and the nurses picked me up, put me on a gurney, and started resuscitating me. And it took 5 minutes to resuscitate me back. My advice to the young Filipino artists, well, first get into a lot of trouble. Get yourself into trouble. And then you learn how to get yourself out of it. And I think make art that's troublesome. To give you some perspective, don't take things personally. Don't take things seriously that you have no control of. Enjoy your time while you're still alive, and you learn from that.